Hey, we're back on the XR6 and how's it going? Well, I've done a few 100Ks on it and all seems to be pretty good. A couple of things I want to do is service that gearbox, just put some new fluids in it and an additive. Just, I don't know when the last time it had a birthday. Secondly, the power steering pump is making a whining noise. It was never really that good when I took it out of the old engine and put it into this one. So I'll extract all the fluid, install the new pump, new fluid, bleed it, and hopefully that should be good. Also, there's a bit of a leak around the rear main area, which is weird because I did do a rear main seal on it. Whether it was a crappy one or it's coming from somewhere else, like the back of the rocker cover or the sump. So I'll check that out as well. And maybe if we've got time, change the fuel filter because it's been run on E85 now for about a month or so, and yeah, it's good to just ditch that filter and put a new one in. All right, let's get stuck into it. Alright, having a squizzy here shows me that the leak is not coming from the sump or the rear bolts because they look pretty dry. It's sort of coming in between the bell housing and the block. There's a little hole right in the middle and the oil is sort of dropping on the lowest point on both sides there, so I'm guessing it is rear main, which is a freaking pain in the ass. But I'll do that eventually, not today. Other than that, drain bung, fuel bung on a transmission, filters there. And looks like diff's leaking as well, so not really coming from the diff hat. It looks more like one of the drive shaft seals are gone, so once again, another future project. All right, let's get this oil emptied. The oil looks alright. It is brown. I can't really see many metallics in there. Whether they use gear oil or it's just ATF, which they should be using, that has gone from red to brown. I'm not sure, but just clean up the drain plug area once it all stops leaking. The manual says to use pipe sealant with Teflon, so I'm using the Permatex stuff. And to torque it up at 35 Newton meters. With everything conflicting information online, the T5 uses a automatic transmission fluid. Castrol Transmax Z apparently is the go-to. Pretty hard to find. I'm usually a pen write guy, and if you jump on the app and type in 2003 BA XR6 manual, it'll give you the fluid for the T56, which is different to the T5. So if you jump back to an AU 2002 XR6 manual with the T5, then it'll show a gear oil, and then you'll read conflicting information about gear oil being too thick, not right, and blah 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 blah. The one thing that I have seen quite a lot is ATF with an additive. Now I was gonna go just a standard Castrol ATF with the Lubrizol, but once again that's hard to find. So instead I've decided to go for Nylon full synthetic automatic transmission fluid. This one, the specs are in line with a T5, plus I'll throw in their additive as well, so apparently a whole bottle, and see how we go. I'll pump it in with a Tom Thumb until it starts to leak out of the filler plug, and yeah, hopefully all good. We'll never know until we try. Now that I alleviated the tension of the drive belt using the that tensioner pulley with a 3/8 square drive, turn it clockwise, belt's off. Now I'm going to remove the power steering plug here, connector. Just going to siphon out the fluid first. With the fluid extracted, now it's time to remove the pump. What I'm going to do first is loosen these bolts. They're 10 mil, I believe, and you can get to them through the holes in the pulley. Pretty sure there's only 3. One down here, and that makes the whole unit loose, so just leave that like that for now, because if I'm doing all this work I'm not going to leave contaminated fluid in the actual power steering gear, so I'll do that. That was a 5/8, and I used one of these pipe wrenches. The usual fluid leaking onto the alternator, because that's a requirement for Fords. Sucked it all out, but there's still some remnants in there. Let's undo this rubber hose for the reservoir. And so the long one goes down the bottom, and there's 2 the same size which go up top. Now this should come out. I thought I'd just give this a go, because the fluid's right up to the end of that line there. That seems to be sucking quite a bit of it out. I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not. Can't hurt though. Here we have the new pump. One thing to note about this one is it comes with a steel pulley. Whether that makes a difference or not, who knows, but I'm sure it's a good thing. First things first is the high pressure line. Connect that bad boy in. Put the unit in situ. Get it in finger tight, making sure not to cross thread anything. That's all good. Just slide it in place now. Before I forget, it's time to tighten up the pressure line. With that done, I'm going to put this blanking plug back on the return line of the reservoir. This is pretty much it came with the pump for shipping purposes. So put that there just so it's not the fluid that I put in here, so I can flush the system, isn't going to leak out. Now I might have to pull this hose down and put a container underneath it. Okay, now that the return is blocked off, the hose that comes from the rack, the return hose, is facing down into a container. The the fuel pump relay has been removed. Time to put a few 100 ml of the fluid in. And the book says to crank the vehicle while turning lock to lock. I can hear the fluid dropping into the container. Okay, so this is the color of the fluid that came out of the system, and that's the color of the new fluid. So it's been about a litre or so, maybe a little bit more, and cranking it, and it came out clean on the other end. So now I'll take that little cap off and put the return hose onto that, tighten her up, fill her up, and then do the bleeding procedure. With the power steering reservoir cap off and the front of the car jacked up a little bit so the wheels aren't touching the concrete, I'm now going to turn the steering wheel lock to lock, left to right, probably about 40 times just to try and bleed all the air from the system. This is what the manual says, plus I also found it online as well, so I'm going to give that a go and then take it for a drive, see how she feels. All right, we're out on the road now. So power steering still has a little bit of a whine, but I don't think I've bled it properly. So last time this happened, when I put the engine together, the car together, and I topped up the fluid that was already in there, it did this for a little bit, and as I was driving it sort of fixed itself. So let's just hope that happens again. I'm just glad that I was able to flush the whole system and put brand new fluid in there and a new pump with a metal pulley, so at least for peace of mind, that's all sorted. How does the T5 feel? Well, I don't know if it's a placebo or anything like that, but it seems to change into gears a little bit better. I don't think T5s are like amazing like shift quality anyway, but yeah, it seems to go in nicely. Third's a little bit hard to get into. But once again, for peace of mind, new fluids on the old gearbox, bit of additive, not bad. Yeah, it actually does feel good. Feels pretty nice to be honest. It's not as notchy. It's actually quite nice. I did notice while I was doing the power steering pump and had the car idling that I'm also getting a bit of bearing noise from one of the pulleys. It looks like the pulley that's sitting on the timing cover on its own. So I think might grab a new one of those, and it looks pretty easy to swap out. Just pretty much undo it and put the new one in its place. That's so good. What a fun car to drive. Alright, I'm going to end this video here. New power steering pump, power steering fluid flush, and some new fluids for the T5 gearbox. Thank you very much for sticking around. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. See ya.